Hi, I'm Willie and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for coming back, and I hope you've enjoyed a lot of the videos that I've been putting out. This week there will be, not tonight, but the next video, there will be some more VPN configuration videos. Someone has sent me a Cisco ASA 5505, and we have Sonic walls on the way, so we're going to do those videos, plus pfSense and some other open source distros. And then tonight you're going to get to see the world premiere of my crappy drawing on a Intuos on a Wacom. I bought a Wacom Intuos drawing pad for my videos, and then for my wife to design things for her silhouette cameo, so that she can cut that out. And it comes with a pen like this, and this is what the pad actually looks like. Little drawing pad, so it's going to take me a little while to get used to it. So the drawings are still going to suck and look like a doctor drew them. And if you want to think I'm a doctor, let's just roll with that. So tonight we're going to talk about router on a stick, and we're coming up on 1 year of me adding voice and video to my videos. If you've been with me since the beginning, thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for sticking around. In the beginning, I started creating the videos, and I'm saying a lot, and I'm working on that as well. In the beginning, when I started creating videos, it was my screen and a notepad, and I had a goal, and I explained everything in a notepad, and the videos were so-so. I had one person call me an idiot because they were troubleshooting their computer for like a half hour because they didn't get any sound because I didn't indicate that there was no audio. And then more people said they wanted audio, and then the video, and I totally understand the storyteller aspect of the video, and I can appreciate that. So here we are, and as you've noticed over the last few weeks, the quality of the video is getting better. We're adding more tools and things like that. So, but one of the original videos, and I have it down, and we're going to redo it. Tonight we're going to talk about router on a stick, and we're going to talk about it with UniFi, and why UniFi really, at this juncture in its product line, is the embodiment of router on the stick, or why I believe it is the embodiment of router on a stick. And I'm also redoing the edge router, edge switch router on a stick, and we're going to mix and match vendors with that as well, just because it's something that you may run into in the field. So tonight we're going to talk about UniFi router on a stick. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hop over and we're going to play with the drawing pad. Got the pen out, and let's see where this lands us. So I am going to draw. That's not too bad. So this is our USG. Drawing is still pretty horrible, but it'll get better. And then what we have is we have our connection over to our UniFi switch. Okay, and what router on a stick is when you have a switch that recognizes your VLANs, but it does not do the routing between the VLANs. Everything else is going to go back to this router, and this could be any router. This could be Cisco. This could be Sonic Wall. It could be any vendor. So what router on a stick is, it's when you create, let's clean this up a little bit. Router on a stick is when all of your layer 3 interfaces, all of your routing interfaces are created. And maybe if I do this as a circle, this will work better. So here's our USG, and it's going to have all these layer 3 interfaces, and we'll just draw this big pipe, and then it's going to go down here to the switch. But our interfaces, for simplicity, we're going to use .1, then this will be 2.1, 3.1, 4.1, and we will line up the VLANs as well. So that's going to be VLAN 2, VLAN 3, and VLAN 4. And so when we assign a port on this switch to those VLANs, so this one would be 4, be 3, this would be 2, it's going to correlate to those interfaces. You'll see what I mean when we get into it. I'm going to put the pen down. I'm having a lot of fun, but obviously the more I get used to it, the better it'll get for everybody. Let's hop over here. So here is our lab cloud key, and we're going to hop over, and you can see we've got USG2 at 1.1. And by the way, I will say this, that when we're working with this, your native VLAN, man, that's horrible. Your native VLAN in this case is VLAN 1, and in certain manufacturers' equipment you can change it, and you can make the native VLAN be 100, you can make it be 200. Security best practices are not to use VLAN 1. Sometimes the equipment that you're using doesn't support anything else, so your mileage may vary on that. But in this case, well, and I think actually in UniFi you'll see where they've changed at least the management interface, but not the native. I think the native is still this number 1 right here. Look, it's getting better as we go. All right, so back over to UniFi. Right now we've got 192.168.1.1, and that's our untagged VLAN, our native VLAN, our default VLAN, 1.1, and we've got a switch. So what we need for this to all work is we need a switch that understands VLANs, and we need a router, right? So back to the little horrible drawing here real quick. So we've got our USG, and right now we've got 1.1, and then we've got this pipe that runs over here. I know what you're thinking looking at this drawing. It's going to be something dirty, but it's not. And then we've got our switch. I keep pressing the button on here. So as long as this guy understands the VLANs in between, in here, we should be in good shape. Now, the beauty of the UniFi system is that it handles all of this for you. So, and you'll see when we get to the edge router, the edge switch, the Cisco switch, the Juniper switch, all of those, you'll see how we handle that there. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to hop into settings, and we're going to go over to networks. So you can see that under networks we have LAN. It's corporate. It's 1.1/24, so it's a class C. VLAN is blank, so that is VLAN 1 and an untagged VLAN. We can edit it, and I don't know. It doesn't look like, this default VLAN, this default network that comes on here, doesn't look like we can actually change the VLAN. So we'll cancel that. We're going to create a new network, and we're going to call this Network 2. It'll be corporate because we're going to want to route between it. Maybe this is the marketing department, maybe this is the finance department, and they need their own network, so we can start doing firewall rules. Everybody kind of needs to talk at some level, but we're not going to create that as a guest. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to put 192.168.2.1/24, and it's going to be VLAN number 2. And we'll update our DHCP range, and you can see it does 6 to 254. Somebody asked me earlier what I like to do, and in smaller networks I like to keep all my infrastructure stuff under 100 and do it statically. It's just easier to track that way for me. Your mileage will vary, of course. So we'll go ahead and save that. So now you can see we've got network number 2. It's a corporate network. The subnet is 192.168.2.1/24. Now that's kind of misleading because yes, it is the subnet, but it's not the subnet ID. The subnet ID would actually be 2.0/24, and your first usable IP is 2.1. And it is VLAN number 2, so we are going to do this for 3 and 4. So we've got different subnet sizes. Who knows? Maybe network number 4 is just for printers, and we've got 3 printers. So now you can see we've got all of these layer 3 interfaces, and they are attributed to the VLANs over here. So VLAN here, layer 2. This interface, layer 3. So switching takes place at layer 2, routing takes place at layer 3. Now, if we go over to our switch, everything is provisioning, which is good, which means it is creating the VLANs on the switch. So we'll take a look at that in a second and how that correlates. So our switch is connected. So if we come over here to configuration and we look at network and VLANs, so if we bring up a port and we go to networks, VLANs, we can do all, which is creating that trunk by default, or we can say we only want network 3 on that port, so this would be port 6. We can do network 2, network 4, or LAN. We can also disable it, or we can do all. So it is a trunk port at the moment when it is all, but if we only want something to be in the 192.168.3 network, we're going to select network 3, we're going to apply that, and if we plug something in, it's going to get an IP address from that 192.168.3 range. Another thing we could do is we could change the port name on this. So network 3. So it's a network 3 first port. We can apply that. So that is the name of that port now. So when we come in here, we see something that is human readable. So we can come back over. We can also, if you haven't checked out the switch services, here is RSTP, STP. If you saw the knowledge nugget, we could disable it here. But so that's it. So right now, if we pull up the command prompt and we say ping 192.168.3.1, we're going to get a response. 2.1, we're going to get a response. 4.1, we better get a response. And the reason that is working is because the layer 3 interface exists on this USG. So if we go to the USG and we go to configuration, we go to networks, you will see here is the IP address. And remember, these are attributed to those VLANs we created. So if we go back over to the switch and go to configuration, networks, VLANs, so you can see here are our networks and our VLANs. So we can create a new one, and we'll call this Willie's World, native VLAN would be number 4, and then we'll tag 2 and 3. And what that does is if something plugs in, it will be native for VLAN number 4, so to get something in that 192.168.4 dynamic range. But then we could also tag through that network 2 and 3. So take a look at it. It's pretty interesting. Like I said, UniFi really makes it simple. But what we can do, let's see if we're going to provision again. Doesn't look like it. So we're going to hop over here. Let's take a look at our configuration. We'll go to terminal. So we'll open up the terminal and we'll see what this looks like from the VLAN. So you can see VLAN ID 12341 is default, which is untagged. And by the way, if you change the default VLAN for a port, then it can also become untagged. But here we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 VLAN name 2, 3, and 4 type static, static, static. Let me see if there's a way to, let's do this. Show config. So if we look at the configuration, you can see in our VLAN database it created VLAN 2 through 4. Now in its current state, the UniFi switches, when configured through the UniFi software, which if you follow my videos you know that's how I support it, that's how I like to do it. I don't like messing with that the JSON file. They are, the switches themselves are not doing any layer 3 routing, whereas our edge switch will allow us to do some layer 3 routing. So you can see here this is VLAN 2 through 4, and we can take a look at everything else that's going on. So if we look at 1, port 1, VLAN participation include 2 through 4, tag 2 through 4. Let's see. Let's get down to that 6. Okay, so description on 6 is 3 through 1. The port VLAN ID is 3, so that's the native on the port. We have VLAN participation including 3. And let's see, anything else? We have no lags here. So that's it on the switch. It's pretty simple there. Let's see if we can get into the USG. So if we pull up the configuration for this guy, we can work our way down. I'm sure of it. And find those layer 3 interfaces. Okay, so there's ETH1, there's our default, which is 1.1. Now, this is our virtual interface 2, so this tells it that it's VLAN 2. Here's our address, 2.1/24. Virtual interface 3, 3.1, there's number 4, and that is how and you can see these are all sub interfaces. If you're sometimes that's what we refer to them in Linux as sub interface. That's how I refer to it anyway. But you can see that this is a virtual interface off of Ethernet 1. So that is how the USG handles it, and then you'll see that there is a DHCP pool attributed to all of these. So that's it for UniFi. Like I said, UniFi is really, in my opinion, the embodiment of router on a stick, because it, the switches don't do any layer 3, so to get that layer 3 you have to go back to some sort of a firewall. USG, if you use that in combination with the UniFi switch, makes it really easy. So if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, please comment and share, and we'll see you back here again this week with a configuration video on VPNs.